Do you remember the days when TGIF wasn't just the name of a place where you would get some weirdly shaped mozzarella sticks, but it was also the Friday night lineup on ABC that families gathered around to watch long before DVR and streaming was a thing? The time when we would hang out with Mr. Cooper before entering a full house filled with dinosaurs while we took things step by step because family matters. Well, in 1993, ABC would introduce a new show to their lineup. A show that would bring the world a teacher we all wish we had, a girl we all wish we knew, a friend that we all felt like we knew, a family that felt real, and a lead character that felt like us. If you were a boy meeting the world, or even a girl, everyone can like this show. And they did. For many of us of a certain age, Boy Meets World wasn't just a show on television, it was our lives, in 24-minute increments. So, as we approach the 30th anniversary of the series, let's take a look back and find out what the fuck happened to the cast of Boy Meets World.
Friends don't let friends miss a moment of TGIF. Stay here, we'll be right back.
Premiering on ABC September 24th, 1993, with an average of 8.5 million viewers a week, Boy Meets World would star Ben Savage, brother of Wonder Years star Fred Savage, which was maybe a subtle way of producers saying, this is the new Wonder Years. But Ben did not get the role because of who his brother is. Little Ben Savage is actually very talented in his own right, and he landed the lead role as the boy who meets the world, Cory Matthews, at the age of only 11 years old. During his time on Boy Meets World, Ben Savage would be nominated for 4 Young Artists Awards. And since his time on Boy Meets World, Ben Savage has appeared in several prominent television series. By 2014, Ben Savage would be back in front of the cameras as Cory Matthews for the spin-off series Girl Meets World, which would run for 3 seasons. This time he was the dad, and his daughter was meeting the world, and he would explain to her how to do that with fatherly advice. And I'm sure it was hilarious because the laughing studio audience is telling me it is. Though he would continue to take on guest roles in network series, his real passion would lie in politics, as Ben Savage would intern for a Pennsylvania senator while getting his degree in political science. In 2022, he would run for a seat in the West Hollywood City Council, where he only garnered 6% of the vote. So, naturally, the next year, in 2023, he would announce that he's running for California's 30th Congressional District. That's right, the boy from Boy Meets World is running for Congress, with elections set for November of 2024, and a field of 11 currently declared runners. Savage has his work cut out for him. But sometimes celebrity name recognition can get you places in the world of politics.
If I win and you guys vote for me, I would say to each and every one of you, hey, thanks!
The role of teacher George Feeney was one that needed gravitas. But when producer Michael Jacobs approached William Daniels for the role, he initially turned it down, saying that he had no interest in making fun of teachers. But once producer Michael Jacobs told him that Feeney was based on his own personal mentor, and that the character would be handled with respect, William Daniels accepted the role, and thus created one of the most iconic characters in television history, probably the best TV teacher ever. Mr. Feeney was strict, he was an authority figure, he didn't take no crap, and he was hilarious, but he also loved his students, and you could feel that with every episode.
I love you all. Class dismissed.
Of course, William Daniels was no stranger to iconic roles, as he had been a staple of stage and screen for nearly 50 years by the time Boy Meets World came around, appearing in such iconic productions as The Graduate, Oh God, Reds, while also appearing on stage as John Adams in 1776, a role he reprised for the 1972 film with the same name, 1776, as well as appearing in so many TV productions we don't have time to name them all. This included winning 2 back-to-back Emmy Awards for his performance as Mark Craig in the hit show Saint Elsewhere. And of course, he provided the iconic voice of Kit in Knight Rider. Mr. Feeney was the talking car.
Please do not refer to me as a car or a set of wheels. It's most demeaning. I'm the Knight Industries 2000. You always called me Kit.
Since Boy Meets World ended, you would see Daniels pop up sporadically in films, such as Blades of Glory, while also returning to his iconic role in Girl Meets World. In 2017, William Daniels would publish his autobiography, titled There I Go Again, How I Came to Be Mr. Feeney, John Adams, Mr. Craig, Kit, and many others. It's not a title, that's a resume. The good news is that at the age of 96 years old, Daniels and his wife, Bonnie Barlett, who also appeared on Boy Meets World, they're still with us. Still alive. Appearing on the recently launched podcast, Pod Meets World. Yay!
Here you are!
Speaking of Pod Meets World, this hit podcast was launched on June 26, 2022, with hosts Danielle Fishel, Ryder Strong, and Will Friedle, or as you better know them as, Topanga, Sean, and Eric. The trio would launch the podcast as a way to give fans some backstage insight into the making of the show. Yet since its launch, Pod Meets World has become one of the biggest podcasts around, selling out live shows across the country. For Danielle Fishel, her journey to successful podcaster began when she was discovered at a community theater at just 10 years old. After appearing in 2 episodes of Full House, Fishel would land the role of Topanga Lawrence, after the initial actress hired was let go. In Topanga, she's such a great character. At first, she was like this hippy-dippy, psychedelic little girl who was more of a comic relief kind of character, but then of course she evolved into the love interest, and as we all know, Cory and Topanga, they're like the cutest thing ever. But Danielle Fishel has spoken about the ups and downs she felt while making the series, as series creator Michael Jacobs was known to be an emotional manipulator, even going as far to publicly threaten to fire the 12-year-old Danielle, humiliating the child. But she stayed strong and still delivered wonderful performances in every episode. Since the end of Boy Meets World, she would establish a successful career as herself when she landed a gig hosting Say What Karaoke on MTV, followed by being a correspondent for the Tyra Banks show, and then she became the host of the popular talk soup-style show The Dish. Fishel would try her hardest to shed her wholesome Topanga image by appearing in raunchy rated-R films like 2003's National Lampoon's Dorm Days and its sequel, but it would be returning to her iconic role as Topanga for Girl Meets World that would set Danielle Fishel on her present path when she would direct 4 episodes of the series, thus launching her successful career behind the camera, where she has become a staple of several successful TV series. For Ryder Strong, his resume featured guest spots on series like Empty Nest and Home Improvement before he was cast as Cory's best friend, Sean. And his character of Sean was more than just the BFF. He often had very dark storylines, bringing some much-needed drama to the show. Of course, after Boy Meets World, he would shock all of his fans when he appeared in Eli Roth's R-rated Cabin Fever. Much like the other actors, Ryder Strong would pop up in a plethora of TV guest spots before returning to the role of Sean Hunter for the spin-off series Girl Meets World, where he would also step behind the cameras and direct 18 episodes of this short-lived series, Girl Meets World. It's really cool that they all directed episodes of this, I guess, if you think those kinds of things are cool.
TGIF is just beginning to roll. Stick right here as we get on with the show.
Will Friedle had only appeared in 2 guest spots on roles before landing the gig as the lovable brother Eric Matthews. In 1997, he would co-headline the film Trojan War with Jennifer Love Hewitt, which just made $309 at the box office. $309. But it wasn't all bad. Will Friedle began dating Jennifer Love Hewitt, and she would guest star in one of the most iconic episodes of Boy Meets World, the famed Halloween episode, which perfectly parodied I Know What You Did Last Summer, starring Jennifer Love Hewitt, who was dating Will Friedle.
Dun dun dun. Dun dun. Excuse me. Killer! Killer! You're the killer!
But yeah, Eric Matthews, I always liked his character. He was always a good brother, got in some mischief sometimes, but he was always there, even when the later seasons turned him into a complete goofball. Like, just watch season 1 Eric and then watch last season Eric, and you're gonna be like, why is he normal here and then wacky, wacky, goofy, goofy, silly man here?
Eric?
Never felt so alive in my life. I just want to.
By 1999, Will Friedle had realized that he had a talent for voice work and would launch a very successful voice acting career where he would play such iconic roles as Batman and Batman Beyond, Star-Lord, Deadpool, Bumblebee, as well as Ron and Jonathan Stoppable from the popular series Kim Possible. In addition to hosting Pod Meets World, Will Friedle can also be heard on the I Hear Voices podcast opposite Kim Possible, because everybody has a freaking podcast now.
Yeah, this is pretty great. You want to hear some new Kim Possible stuff? 'Cause we got it.
In the first season of the show, we were introduced to my favorite character, Stuart Minkus, played by Lee Norris. He was pretty much a regular character. He was like part of the cast. Then for some reason, producers decided to have Minkus walk up some stairs and never be seen again after the first season. I think he comes back like in the last episode or something where they reference that. But yeah, they didn't do Minkus right. Minkus deserved his own frickin' show. For actor Lee Norris, however, he would go on to do some pretty solid work, appearing in the David Fincher film Gone Girl. He would act opposite Tom Hanks in Greyhound, and he would pop up in The Walking Dead, while of course reprising his role as Minkus in 5 episodes of Girl Meets World. But my favorite Lee Norris performance is when he gets killed by the Zodiac in David Fincher's Zodiac. I remember sitting there in the theater and I was like, is that Minkus? Minkus, no, Minkus!
Stuart Minkus, regular guy.
Actress Trina McGee would join the series in 1997 and would play Sean's love interest Angela. She has openly discussed the hardships she faced on set, which included racially charged jokes made at her expense, and she just never really felt like a part of the cast due to the distance she felt between her and the leads. Luckily, McGee and the cast have been able to talk through those issues, and she would return for Girl Meets World, while also appearing on Pod Meets World. Since her time on the series, Trina McGee has taken up writing and directing with the 2020 film Detainment. Of course, the big man himself, Ethan Suplee, was one of the bigger names to graduate from Boy Meets World, and has gone on to have scene-stealing performances in films like Mallrats, Remember the Titans, Wolf of Wall Street, Deepwater Horizon, and wasn't he on that show My Name is Earl? But of course, his biggest accomplishment has been embracing a healthy lifestyle where he has lost over 200 pounds over the years. The dude is all muscles now. The show did have another series regular in its college years, an actress by the name of Maitland Ward, who played the redhead Rachel. And since her time on the show, she has appeared in films like White Chicks, and on shows like Rules of Engagement, and then she became a porn star. Seriously, she's a porn star now. WTF.
Yeah, you're a very bad girl.
Other names who have come and gone from Boy Meets World are Matthew Lawrence, who played Sean's half-brother during the college years of the series, and of course many know Matthew Lawrence from Miss Doubtfire and the show Brotherly Love. He was part of the Lawrence brothers, the middle one. They even have a frickin' podcast called Brotherly Love. Then Matthew Lawrence gave a phenomenal performance in Money Plane. Of course, the biggest star to emerge from Boy Meets World is Adam Scott. Despite his short time on the series, Scott made an impression as the character Griff. Boy Meets World would also feature notable guest stars such as Linda Cardellini and the late Brittany Murphy.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Nobody gets me.
Boy Meets World was truly a show that spoke to a generation. It was a show that many people in their 30s look back on with sheer nostalgic glee. That 90s nostalgia is hitting us all pretty hard because, as we now know, civilization peaked in the 90s, and one of those reasons is Boy Meets World. But yeah, the story, the characters, the jokes, those are the reasons why the show has been so successful on streaming, as new generations are finding this little sitcom gem. And with the launch of Pod Meets World, we don't actually have to guess what the f*** the cast of Boy Meets World is doing, because they're all telling us what the f*** happened through their own mouths. So yeah, they all did it. They all met the world. So now we don't really have to worry about what the f*** happened to the cast of Boy Meets World, because they're doing just fine.